This
jobs
conference will
available.
now be recorded.
Okay. There are a lot of jobs available in the central government. And when I was a student, I did not know about any of them. I mean, I knew about the important exams like IAS and banking exams, but there are so many exams uh, that are available in the central government, and we normally don't know about it. So I thought I would tell you about it. The five important entry areas in central government are, of course, UPSC, SSC, judicial exams, banking, and then some other exams also. In UPSC, as you would all know, uh, it is the civil services which is supposed to be very important. And they include a lot of services, about 16 services like IAS, IPS, Foreign Service, Revenue Service, Railway Services. And these exams are fairly competitive. You need to really prepare yourself and devote yourself for these exams. Then there is the engineering service exam. Uh, these exams are purely for the engineers. They are normally for four streams: civils, mechanical, electrical, and ECE students. There is the Indian Forest exam. There are certain subjects which are required. For example, sometimes they ask you to have a specialization or a subject in BSc forestry, in physics, or in chemistry. But I know a lot of people from the engineering background who have qualified the Indian Forest Service also, and it is also a very good service. There is a combined defense services. We normally don't know about this exam, but these exams are held for the Army, Naval uh, Forces, and the Air Force. It's very prestigious, and the exam is also quite tough comparatively. But then the people who know about these exams, they do appear in it, and sometimes they qualify also. Then there is the CAPF exam. This exam has become fairly popular now from my own experience when I was in Delhi. A lot of people who appear for the civil service exams, they also appear for the CAPF exams. You get posted as assistant commandant in the CRPF, BSF, CISF, other paramilitary forces. And I know a lot of my friends who have appeared for these exams, and now they are posted in different states in these central armed paramilitary forces. So these are obviously the exams conducted by the UPSC. They are considered to be very prestigious, and in terms of their jobs and in terms of the perks associated, they are fairly at a higher level. But then there is also one other uh, agency which conducts exams for central government, that is the SSC. Now, these this agency, it conducts a combined graduate level exam. You get posted as inspectors, assistant enforcement officers, assistants in ministries, and as auditors in CAG, the Comptroller and Auditor General of India. So these are usually Group C posts, but there is because it is a central government post, you have a fair degree of career progression. It is timed. You know that in maybe in the next 10 years you will become and almost Group A also. And if you're young, you can be inducted in the prestigious services also, like the IAS, IPS, IRS. And so these exams are also worth looking for. And then, of course, the SSC also conducts a junior engineer exam. This is for the civil and the electrical people. So this is something that may also interest you. Now, there is something known as the judicial exams. Well, it may not be very much relevant in your case as engineers because it requires a degree in LLB, obviously. But I know some of my friends who were not able to get their desired job. So they also did a LLB degree while they were preparing for other exams. It's a 3 years thing. And I mean, you may think that, okay, I am an engineer, why should I be doing a law degree? But don't approach any exam with that, any profile, any career with that kind of a mindset. Keep your mindset open, because all these exams are quite prestigious. And just because you are doing, we in Kashmir or in India generally, we have a mentality that if you are an engineer, then you should be in the engineering line. Why do you need to shift? I mean, there's a concept they keep telling you, आपकी तो engineering degrees आया हो गई, फिर आप engineer बने ही क्यों? Well, I mean, it does make sense if you think about it in a simplest term, but my own experience is that it's about knowledge and it's about exploring what suits you best. So when you joined engineering, you may not have been very passionate about it. You got a seat and then you became an engineer. But the thing with engineers is that, in my personal experience, they can adapt to any job profile and they have the capability to clear almost any kind of exam. So I know my engineers friends, they did, after they completed their graduation, they were preparing for exam, but they also got admission in a law college. They did the law degree and then they applied for the lower judiciary services, that is for the fresh graduates, and then they qualified and now they are in very prestigious judicial posts also. And I'm sure you also know that judiciary posts are quite prestigious. Then, of course, in the central government, there is the banking sector. There is the RBI Grade B exam and the RBI Assistant exam. Grade B exam is the entry level into the Reserve Bank of India for direct recruitment. And then there is the IBPS exam for the probationary officers. Uh, they conduct the examination for the PO post for almost all the banks except SBI, which has its own PO and SO exam. SO is a specialist officer. For example, they recruit law officers, IT officers. So these are the kind of banking posts. You see, the thing is that you may not be able to get a job instantly after you graduate from the college because of the present situation. So my suggestion to you is not to keep waiting for that perfect job. When I graduated from SSM, there was hardly any job available for me. I did not have any, exceptional kind of grades that a top company would hire me immediately. In fact, my first job was in SSM College itself as a PRO. I served in the college for about 6 months. The management was gracious enough to give me a job, and my first salary was only about 11,000 rupees, and that is what I got for the next 6 months. But from this amount, I was able to at least have a corpus for myself because I couldn't afford to go to Delhi and to pay the entire fees of coaching centers myself. So this small amount was a kind of a buffer for me. I use this amount for my studies. And so, it's kind of a confidence building thing that you know that, okay, you're not complete burden on your parents. You're contributing to your exams yourself also. Then there are other exams in central government. Obviously, you know about the PSUs. Exam, and then you get posted in PSUs. Many of my friends, they are in ONGC and all these very nice PSUs. They have really good packages, well settled life. And some of them, for example, one of my friends, he passed out from NIT, he joined BPCL. He was in Northeast for some time and now he's in Kuwait. He's doing very, very well. And these exams like GATE, they seem to be very tough. I mean, I personally found them to be very challenging, but you don't need to really, become nervous because of these exams. These exams require maybe 6 months of proper preparation, after which you can crack them. They don't have a very high cutoff. For example, if I tell you about myself, when I went to Delhi for the coaching, the first day I went to Waji, that is where I did my coaching from. I was sitting in the room, and just in front of me there were other people, and they were just talking about where you from and stuff like that. So this person, he said he's from IIT. The other person, he said IIM. This other person, some NIT, top NIT. There were like about 7-8 IIT and IIMs around me, and I was the only person from SSM, from University of Kashmir, and I was like, what am I even doing here? Why do I think I will qualify the civil services? You do feel that pressure because you get people from top colleges and people with good exposure. They speak so well, and they know everything. But it's a matter of just 6 months. If you prepare properly for 6 months, you will be almost up to a very similar level, and then it is all your hard work. So don't think that, oh, it's a gate exam and the top IITians are going to appear, where do I stand? Or it is a IAS exam, top people appear, how will I qualify? Never approach an exam with that mentality. Then in the central government, there are other exams. UPSC and other agencies, they conduct exams for scientists and engineers in DRDO, ISRO. Some of my friends are in ISRO. They are doing wonderful work. It is a very rewarding job. You get a lot of, you kind of use your technical skills and you know how ISRO is performing. It is a very rewarding career. And of course, you can also serve as lecturers and assistant professors. Many of my friends are doing that, and it's a fairly stable job. You get to learn new information, you get to teach other people. And in our society, we don't really give a lot of respect to teachers, which is very unfortunate. But the fact is that if you look at it, teachers are the pillars of our society, because they give you this information. And as a teacher, if you see your students become something, very good in their own careers, then that satisfaction is unparalleled. Now let me talk about the jobs in state government. There are a lot of jobs. uh, of course, with the kind of situation right now, we are not getting a lot of vacancies, but it will be quite informational to understand what kind of jobs does the state government offer. So there is the state civil services. I am sure you all know about it. There is the exam for KS and KPS posts. You join as Tehsildar, BDOs or under secretaries, or if you are in KPS, you join as deputy SPs. And these exams, of course, are very prestigious. I'm not very sure whether the vacancies are out yet, but you can always check the websites, and I'm sure this information is not very hard to get. There is also the civil exams of other states. Now, I noticed when I was in Delhi, of course, there is a domicile criteria for these exams, but I noticed that a lot of people were also giving exams of other states. For example, UPPSC for Uttar Pradesh, for Punjab, for Rajasthan. Never think about, or at least I never thought about giving exams of other state public service commissions. But you should keep in mind, if you're eligible, it makes sense to prepare for them if you are preparing for civil services in general. Then, of course, for state government also, you have a judicial exam. You start as a munsif judge. Again, you require a LLB degree. But if law has been your interest, or if you're planning for the long term, for example, like 3-4 years, you will be in the education for further studies, then maybe you can do a law degree and prepare dedicatedly for judicial examinations. There is one post called the Assistant Conservator of Forests, and engineers are eligible for this post. It does require some particular subjects like physics, chemistry, forestry. But if you have, maybe if you are eligible for these posts, then this post in the in J&K is quite uh, rewarding, in a sense that you can have the potential to become the chief conservator later on. So it's a fairly important job in the state. There are some other non-BE jobs also. For example, range officer. It is similar to the Central Indian Forest Service, but it requires a BSc forestry or equivalent. And similarly, there is assistant director statistics job. It requires a degree in economics and statistics. There might be some of you who would have shifted to engineering, maybe with some other subjects also, and these jobs should be of use to you. Then there is the J&K SSB. I'm sure you know about them. The vacancies, of course, are not coming in these couple of months, but there is a JE post. You should keep a tab on these. So when I was a student, my biggest mistake was that I never even considered these jobs. I was like, I am an engineer and I need to go to the corporate, or maybe I need to go do an MBA. I never even thought about these jobs. But there were fairly intelligent people who were keeping a tab on all these jobs. And now I see them. I mean, of course, thankfully, I have also got a good job. But then when I see them, they are also very well settled in life, and now they're happy with what they're doing. So you should be aware about what is happening around you. Then there is the opportunities in the private sector. There you can go outside J&K in other states. There are companies like TCS, Infosys, Cognizant, Wipro. A lot of people from SSM have joined these companies. It is not very hard to get into them, but the only problem is that they don't have a portal where they will announce the vacancies. In my experience, the people who got jobs in these companies, they had maybe some sort of a contact or maybe a cousin or a friend who told them, okay, now this vacancy is coming and you should apply for these jobs. So I came to SSM a couple of years back when we had an alumni meet, and I noticed a lot of people from SSM were serving in these uh, companies. And uh, that day they said that they would make an Excel sheet of the people who are placed where. So if you can get a hold on that Excel sheet, or maybe if you can ask the HODs of your department, they will be happy to tell you about who came in to that alumni meet. You can maybe contact them, and I tell you, each that person that day was very positive, and they all said that they want to help people from SSM, they want to help people from Kashmir, and they all said that they are just a call away, they are just an email away. So don't be hesitant. You should find out who these people are and you should email them. They will be very, very happy to help you. Similarly, there are opportunities abroad. Now, of course, because of the COVID pandemic, these opportunities have become very difficult. But even then, I mean, Gulf used to be a very popular option. But even then, there are countries like Germany, Ireland, and Australia. I have my friends who graduated from SSM, who graduated from NIT. And these three countries, I have been noticing a lot of people are getting jobs there, especially Germany and Ireland. A lot of people don't know about this, but this is one place which you should explore. Basically, what has happened is that after the Brexit, because UK is going to go away from the European Union, all the multinational companies, they have shifted their base to Ireland. So the jobs obviously have increased there. They want people with IT skills, engineers, to come there and to uh, uh, to help them with their work. Then there are opportunities within J&K Bank. These are very limited, to be honest, and uh, they are quite unpredictable these days. There's J&K Bank, obviously. Uh, Last I knew that J&K Bank had issued a new notification for vacancies. Those of you who do not know about it, maybe you should think about it and you should apply definitely for that. It's a very good job. I have my friends from SSM. They are doing very well there. Then there are some companies in Rangret and Rawalpura. I do not remember the names exactly. There was iQuasar and other such companies. My own friends from my own class, they have been working there for 5-6 years. They may not be very well-paying jobs, but I do know of one and two people. They worked there for 1 year, 2 year, and then these companies, they help them get a job in US. So one of my friends, he's a senior actually. He's working in Indiana after he was working in with iQuasar. So those of you who do not have the means to work outside or abroad, you should not be hesitant in joining these companies. These are all stepping stones. For example, I told you about myself. I joined SSM for 6 months. A lot of people, they were like, "Why would you join SSM? It is not an it is not a job which an engineer should be doing." But don't approach jobs in that with that mindset. Always be an open mind. Whatever opportunity you get, you grab it, and then you prepare for the next big opportunity. If you wait for the biggest opportunity of your life, you will realize that you have wasted 2-3 years and it will be too late. There is no perfect time. So finally, I will talk about opportunities for people who want to do further studies. In India, I know people who, after their BTech, they joined IITs and IIMs for MBAs, obviously. They joined JNU and Jamia Millia. For example, I don't know if you know Athar Amir, he's the IAS rank 3. he was also in IIT, or for example, IAS Ejaz sir, he is IAS in J&K cadre. They did their masters from IITs. Not Athar was probably in BTech, but these people, they did their masters from IITs and IIMs. And of course, once you are in these colleges, then you have a definite career growth. You can get a job easily, or you can prepare for other exams also. Similarly, in JNU, a lot of my friends, they have done their masters in public administration, masters in MBA from JNU and Jamia Millia, and it has helped them, it has rewarded them. So what they basically do is that they go to JNU. The fees is not very high. It is affordable, the hostel fees. You go there, you study there, you get exposure, you meet people, and then you also get a degree in 2-3 years, but you also get the exposure to prepare for other exams. Then of course, US is fairly very common among all of us. We know about US. If you want to go to US for further studies, now the scholarships have reduced, to be honest, because of the COVID pandemic. But there are scholarships like Fulbright, Bank, and Ivy League scholarships, which are still available. So it's not like scholarships are not there. They are there. They are fairly competitive, but you need to plan yourself accordingly. For UK, there is the Chevening Scholarship, the Commonwealth Scholarship, IMF, and World Bank. I know some of the Kashmiri students, they have recently got Chevening Scholarship, and now they are going to do their masters in Oxford and in Cambridge. So these are fairly good scholarships. Then there is a non-conventional option also, and I have been noticing that I have been noticing that some of the students who know about these things, they pursue them, and then they are doing really well. For example, countries like Japan, Ireland, I have already spoken, and New Zealand. Now, Japan seems to be so, remote, and there is no information available here. But let me tell you, I am in Japan right now. I am doing my master's in public policy from the University of Japan here, Tokyo. And I see a lot of Indians who are doing their PhDs from University of Tokyo, Kyoto University in English, not in Japanese. And these are really good universities. And they are not very competitive in the sense that the competition level is not like in the Ivy League, in Harvard, in Yale. So it's not very difficult to come to these universities. And Japan is a very good country if you want to, if you're thinking about like long term, like 10 years, because the quality of life is very good. Similarly, Ireland, my own friends, my batchmates, 1 year down, 1 year up, a lot of people are working in startups in Ireland. I know this girl, she and her husband, now they got married recently. She was in Ireland, she did her master's in Ireland, and then she joined a new startup. In just 5 or 6 years, she has covered 25 countries. And she's doing so well. She has covered 25 countries, and she is now one of the brightest employees in the startup. If you want to do further studies, my only advice is that you should do a very extensive research. It is not easy to all the information, and you need to have clarity about your own potential with versus the demand of the university. So for example, for myself, I tell you, when I applied for my MBA, I applied for Harvard, Stanford, Yale, all the Ivy League, and I got rejected everywhere. The reason was that my caliber was not very high up to their level. So once you are because you see, these universities, the application cost is quite a lot in these universities. I think it's about 6,000 for the application fees. And then there is the GMAT exam, there is the GRE exam, TOEFL. So whenever you are selecting any university in any country, try to understand the acceptance ratio of those universities, and try to understand the usual applicants or the accepted candidates, the profile of those candidates. That will be really helpful for you. And just one more point here if you are looking for a degree in private sector. From my own experience, I'll tell you. Uh, right now, I am working in Delhi, and we constantly work with companies like Infosys and TCS, Wipro, even KPMG. I see those new fresh people who get these companies. They're not very exceptional. My personal experience is that only two things are required if you want to get recruited by a private company. You need to have a skill-based certification. For example, maybe a CCNA, or maybe some certification in agile, or these new kind of concepts. And you need to have good communication skills. If you have these two things, don't think that, oh, you are from Kashmir or you are from SSM, you don't have that kind of a brand value. It does not matter. If you have these two things, they will recruit you and they'll be very happy to have you on board. So you need to keep this in mind. Finally, I'll talk about a little bit about time management. uh, I do not want to keep on going about it, but in my own life, I follow a 8 by 8 by 8 rule. 8 hours of sleep. You need to select your cycle. You could be a morning person, you could be a late night person, whatever it is, but have a same timing daily. Then 8 hours for productive work, whether you are preparing for any job, whether you are preparing for an exam. Always be planned and stay away from distractions during these 8 hours. And then 8 hours for enjoyment, exercise, food, friends, a little bit of social media, but don't spend too much time on social media as a student. So this is the kind of rule I follow, and I think it is a very good way of managing your own time. So I think I have fairly covered everything, and if you have any questions, I would be very, very happy to okay, take them. How do I? Right, right. I hope this was informative and you did receive some relevant information. If you have any questions or if you think you have any inputs, I'll be happy to take them. Or you can just chat. You can just maybe chat also.
Students, please put your questions in chat box.
Right, there is a question by Mahaya Binti Idris. The question is, any platforms which conduct counseling sessions? Uh, well, yes, there are a lot of platforms which conduct counseling sessions, but it depends on the kind of counseling you require, whether you require a counseling for an exam or for a job or for something else. Depending on the kind of uh, the ambition that you have, you can have different kind of counseling sessions also. To be very specific, if you're preparing for exams, there is this Unacademy. I'm sure you must have heard about it. Unacademy conducts a lot of free counseling sessions. They have these speakers from different government services, and then they give you help about that. For private jobs, I don't think there are any counseling sessions. When I was a student, I used to log into these Naukri portal, and in Dubai, there's a very famous one, couple of famous portals, but I never found them to be very useful. So I think the best thing is you should rather find seniors or your own friends and colleagues who are there in those countries, and you should speak to them directly because they have the most updated knowledge and they will counsel you as to how to prepare opportunities. Oh yes. Then Vani Arsalan, he says, sir, if we are preparing for UPSC, should we always keep a plan B if we do not crack the prestigious exam? That is a question a lot of people ask. I had the same questions. I think, my personal opinion is that the first year that you are preparing, you should not have a plan B. The first attempt or the first 18 months that you are preparing for the exam, devote the entire time to this exam. It is a very rigorous exam. You need to cover a lot of syllabus. You need to do a lot of revisions. So it would not be very wise to look for other opportunities also. It kind of distracts you. In my case, I prepared in 2011, and from 11 and 12, I did not go for any plan B. But then, after I gave my first attempt, I started appearing in other exams also. And personally, I could never qualify those exams somehow. I don't know. Uh, every exam I gave, KS or SSB, SSC, PO exams, maybe because the UPSC preparation is so different from the requirements of the other exams, maybe because of that. But for the first year, I think just focus on the exam. Yeah. Preferably do for should we do masters for masters? I don't understand. If you maybe can clarify that. Anyways, there is one more question. Umar Bashir Mantu, he says, sir, better way to prepare for civil services, especially for engineers. There are two ways to prepare for civil services. You can do self-study or you can go for coaching. In my case, I first appeared in KS exam with self-study. I couldn't clear the prelims. And then I felt that I lacked the direction. I had no mentor to prepare for the exam, and I had nobody to tell me how to study, what to study. So I went to Delhi. If you find yourself in a similar situation, then maybe coaching is a good idea. There is Jamia Millia Islamia in New Delhi. It teaches you for free. It also gives you a scholarship. If you do not have the financial to go for, to afford the kind of coaching facilities in Delhi, then you can look for Jamia Hamdard, HSC, Jamia Millia in New Delhi, or Zakat Foundation. They are good mentors and they do it for free. How can we manage our preparation for civil services and our routine college studies simultaneously? What will be the smart way to utilize our time? My honest suggestion to you is that, especially if you're in the third year and the fourth year of engineering, because the eighth semester will be very hectic for you. You will be busy writing your project report, making projects. You will not have a lot of time. Similarly, because of the current situation, uh, you may not have enough time to talk to people physically. My suggestion to you is that you should start reading a newspaper immediately, especially if you have access to Hindu, whether physical or online. In college, that is the best thing you can do. Start reading Hindu comprehensively, start understanding issues, how they analyze each and every issue. Maybe start making small notes. And once you're done with your college, then start focused preparation for civil services. I don't think it is very useful to uh, start intense preparation in college. It will just burn you out. There's kind of a peak. For example, when you go to a gym, if you start doing all those heavy exercises from the fourth day itself, it will burn you out, and then you will just back off. So in college, just focus on the newspapers. Hindu would be advisable. Any priority table about the skills these days companies prefer? Like, yes, that's a good question, actually. Well, to be honest, since I'm not in the corporate sector, I'm not completely aware about the requirements that they ask for. But I deal with, as I told you, as a government employee, I deal with companies, MSPs, who help develop IT projects. And I have noticed that all these people, the fresh graduates that these companies hire, they are good with these new technologies like Agile and Scrum and these new softwares that are coming up. especially analytical softwares where you can churn out a lot of data and you can create reports. So if you are planning to join a private company, my suggestion is to look for these kind of certifications. They are the requirement of the job and the requirement of the current time. And because of the COVID situation now, a lot of companies are recruiting data analysts and people who have the ability to, to work on Excel and to create reports uh, with work from home. So those kind of uh, and these agile and these scrum, these certifications, I recently got to know they're not very expensive. They are just 2 or 3 days course, in fact. So you can just maybe look. And then I have also noticed that these new graduates that these companies hire, they also do the online certification courses from Coursera or from Harvard, PIT, MIT, stuff like that. The online certification courses, 6 weeks courses maximum. You just go there, log in, make for example, you don't know Python, let us say, and Python is very fairly common these days. So go to these open uh, portals, Harvard or Yale, register for the course, learn whatever the content is there, give an exam after 6 weeks, you get a certification, and you can put that in the resume. That is all they normally they have. Gover asks, for UPSC exam, what is your suggestion for the students who cannot afford, yes, who cannot afford the coaching fees? What should they do? Is coaching a must? No, coaching is not must. Coaching is definitely advantageous. It gives you direction, but it is not must. If, for example, like me, you did not have the financial means to afford the coaching yourself, then you could do a small job side by side. If you want to go for expensive coachings like Vajiram or what's the other one, Vision IAS and stuff like that. If you don't have a job, then I would suggest you should definitely apply for Zakat Foundation, Hamdard Study Circle, Jamia Millia Delhi, and Jamia Hamdard. They're all in Delhi, and then they give a preference to the people who do not have the financial means. You only have to qualify a simple exam. You can study for 1 month before that, and then you can access their hostel facilities, the library facilities. I did that myself. After first year in Delhi, the second year of preparation, I went to Jamia Millia Islamia, and it was a financial help for me. Masters before UPSC. Oh, okay. So basically, Gover is asking, is it a good idea to do masters before UPSC? Honestly, if you have the plans of becoming IAS, IPS officers, I would suggest you immediately start after your graduation. Do not do masters and then think of doing UPSC. It will put you in a lot of stress because already you have done 4 years of engineering. Your parents, your relatives expect you to get a job and to be financially settled. If you do a master's and then again you spend 24 months on IAS preparation, by the end of it you will be frustrated. You will say, I am only studying and studying and there is no financial gain from this. So I suggest once you graduate from SSM, you either do self-study or you do coaching, and you immediately start applying for UPSC. It takes a lot of time. You have to have all the stars aligned to qualify this exam in the first attempt. Otherwise, people do it in the recently. One of the batchmates I know, batchmates from Jamia, she appeared with me in 2012 exam, and I qualified in 2013. And she was on and on, she was on after that, and she qualified recently in 2020. Now imagine 7 years she studied and then she qualified. So it can take that much amount of time. But don't uh, spend more time on masters if IS IPS is your ultimate goal. Uh, what should we opt for immediately after degree completion, considering there is no placement opportunities in SSM? We can see only GATE. Would you suggest coaching made easy, etc., or self-study to crack PSUs? I think for PSUs, you can also do self-study. You can do online. These days, online things are available easily. But some of my batchmates, they did self-study for 6 months, and they were not very, very, very exceptional in SSM. They were normal students, They normally got 70%, 68%. And but after graduation, they did a focused study. They got this question booklet, and then they prepared, because I understand that the cutoff in GATE is not very high. uh, you don't need to like score like 90 percentile as in CAT or in something like that. So you can do self-study for 6 months, and I'm sure if you put your minds to it, you can qualify. Just because we have a lot of inferiority complex, I have noticed in SSM. We think that just because we are not doing it from IITs or NITs, maybe we lack something, or we don't have the exposure, we don't have the lab exposure. It does not matter. I have seen people from SSM, they have qualified the toughest exams, and be it UPSC, be it GATE, be it any other exam. And they have done it. They were not very brilliant also. They were just normal students like you and me. And so I think you don't need to worry about that. You can do self-study for GATE. What according to you is success? Well, it's a philosophical question, but I think, you know, having tasted success in various degrees and having tasted failures in even more degrees, my personal opinion of success is that you should, at the end of the day, you should be able to uh, analyze what you have done, and you should be able to tell yourself that yes, you were able to make some difference in either the somebody's life or maybe in the society. If you are in a position where at the end of the day you can tell yourself, okay, yes, what I have done has some meaning, or it has added some meaning to somebody's life, I think then you can say you are successful. And for that, you don't need to be in a certain position. You don't need to be in the top place and you will think, okay, now I am successful. It's not like that. I tell you, in Jamia Millia, I had a friend, and he was very good. He like very intelligent. He was from IIT, and we were preparing together. He I mean, I was almost sure that he would qualify IAS exam, but midway he said, no, I don't want to join typical bureaucracy. He went for this Pradhan Mantri uh, rural fellowship scheme. It's some kind of a scheme where they post you to areas like Chhattisgarh and Jharkhand where they have Naxal problem, and so he was working in Bastar. And uh, I met him recently. He was working there for 3 years, and I met him recently. I told him, Arib, yaar, you should have joined bureaucracy. Why did you not come here? And you went there. You could have been successful here. And he said, the kind of satisfaction I have got in these 3 years, I cannot tell you, Naveed. And I think this is the most successful period of my life. So just imagine, it does not matter if you qualify the toughest exam. I think your focus should be on getting at a place where you develop capacities in other people. That would be success. So how many hours should one give per day to qualify these exams if one is doing self-study? Well, if you are preparing for IAS exams, civil service UPSC exams, I would suggest at least 12 hours you should do. And by 12 hours, I do not mean 12 hours of continuous study. By 12 hours, I mean, you should divide your day, maybe 4 hours, 4 hours, 4 hours. And effective study should be 8 hours at least. So even if you don't absorb information for the complete 12 hours, you should every day be putting effective 8 to 9 hours per day. For other exams, for example, like for banking exams or for the SSC exams, they're not very demanding. The syllabus is not very huge, so you can spend like maybe 3 to 4 hours every day, and you can do something else also while preparing for those exams. Right. You were talking about ECE. What about civil? Well, Zishan, if you could maybe clarify ECE and civil regarding which post exactly? Okay, Maya Binti Idris, she asks, shouldn't there be a separate session for parents? Aren't we dependent on them in every possible way? We would love to do what we like, not complaining, just being practical. Well, you know, uh, it is maybe the mindset that we have when we are in college. We would like to do what we like. Yes, that's what I told my mother also when I was preparing for my MBA. She said, "No, I don't want you to really go outside to US. You should maybe stay here and you should prepare for some exams. There are good opportunities here also." And I was like, "No, I want to do MBA. I like to do this, and you should allow me to do that." She agreed, but in hindsight, I think if they give some suggestions, it is based on their own experiences also. For example, whatever I am telling you now, maybe 6 7 years before, I would not have talked about so many posts or so many exams, maybe 7 8 years before that. But as I have graduated in life and as I have seen other people progressing in their careers, I am in a position to maybe give you different kind of opinions. Now you may say, okay, this was not very useful and I'm not interested and why should I even listen? But it's always, I think, intelligent to listen to the other person. And if you do not like it, that is a different thing. But you should approach every advice with an open mind. Can you tell how to study for CAT? Recently, I was talking to one of the MBA from IIM, my batchmate. He's in civil services, and I told him that I found CAT very tough examination. I was preparing for it, but I never appeared in it. How did you qualify for CAT? And he said that CAT is very easy. It has a very narrow syllabus. All that is required is a bit of a concentration and a bit of practice about the usual problems that come. And if you prepare for these exams for like 7 8 months and you practice those study banks, anybody can qualify CAT. So for CAT, it may seem, when we are in Kashmir, we think we hear those numbers like 99 percentile, 98 percentile, and we get overwhelmed. But a lot of people from Kashmir itself have done that, and all you need is practice and good study material. Right. Akif Shah, he says, please don't mention. Oh, sorry. Oh, right. Anyways, uh, Zishan Zahur, he says about job opportunities. What about job? Oh, okay. Yeah, so for civil also, when I was talking about those exams, for example, when I was talking about the Indian Engineering Service exam, there is civil option also in that. When I was talking about the banking exams, obviously civil people are eligible. For the Assistant Conservator of Forest, civil is eligible. So generally, if you are an engineer and if engineering is eligible, then civil has to be there. Civil engineering is a very popular option. Recently, a few months back before the lockdown, my friend, he went to Sharjah. He's a civil engineer from, he did his diploma and then his engineering from J&K. And he's in Sharjah. He's earning a decent amount of salary. And hopefully in the next 2 3 years, his salary will be stable. I mean, he will be able to save from that salary. That is the important thing. So I think for civil, there is generally no problem when we talk about the civil services for civil engineering. In fact, when I was in electronics and communication, I always thought I should have been a civil engineer because that time JE posts were always coming for civil branch. So you should not worry about civil engineering. There is a question which says, right, which says that I have completed almost 80 to 90 syllabus of UPSC and currently practicing answer writing. What should be my strategy to crack UPSC 2021 examination? Plus, I need a little help if I could get your personal email or private. Okay, so it is a fairly specific question. I will give you my email ID. And in fact, my email ID is my full name, gmail.com. You can contact me on that. I will share some resources with you for all those people who are preparing, and hopefully that will be helpful. How to avoid negative people when we are, oh yes. So there is a question. He says how to avoid negative people. This is a very important question for preparation for any exam, I would say. You know, when I was preparing for my IAS exam, when I went to Vajiram in Delhi, I met this relative of mine, my cousin. I met him. He said, I told him I'm going to prepare for IAS exam, and he was like, "अरे यार, क्यों अपने बाप के पैसे जाया कर रहा है? IAS के लेवल तो लोग already होते हैं. Why are you bothered about it?" And you know, when you are in this situation, when you are preparing for such difficult exams, all these comments, they really hit you, because already you are in the stress. Already you do not know what kind of future you will have. My sincere advice to you is always avoid two kind of people after you graduate from SSM. One, people who are negative, who keep telling you that you can't do it, or who keep telling you, यार ये तो तेरे से नहीं होगा, या you know, who make fun of you. अच्छा, अब तू GRE के लिए prepare करेगा, ओ ये तो बहुत बड़ी बात, you know, those kind of jokes that really pulls you down. So don't stay away from those people, and stay away from people who have a complaining attitude, who have a negative attitude. For example, you prepare for some exam and they tell you उसमें तो पैसे चलते हैं, उसमें तो सिफारिश चलती है. If you stay with these two kind of people, you will only waste your time, because honestly, for any kind of these exams, your whole mind should be focused with positive energy. These negative thoughts will put pressure on you. And when I went to IAS examination, I deleted my Facebook, I deleted my Twitter, I deleted my WhatsApp, and I was almost underground for this 19-20 months. I did not speak to any friends, hardly anybody. I just wanted to be in my own zone, because it is a lot of pressure. Right, and right. I think that is the only. I have answered all those questions. In fact, if you have any important other question, or later on you think you want to uh, ask something about career, or you know, general other things, I am leaving my email here. Feel free to email to me. I am on Twitter also. I'm very active there. If you have access to that, you can email me, or you can tweet to me. I will be happy to answer all your questions, and if you need any kind of help, definitely I'll be very happy. I think, oh, there is one question. I chose business, which is out of my subject, because I earn handsome money. Actually, I have my good contact at UK. My relatives suggest me you should start your own company. Then, okay, they help me a lot. Everything is going good. Well, I'm happy for you. That is good. Uh, some of my friends, there was this one friend from MBA from SSM. He had his own jewelry business, and he did his MBA, and he's now working in with his own business. The times are tough right now, I understand, for business people, because of COVID, because of the political situation. But if you have some backing, it makes sense to invest in that, invest your time in that. Where can we have our internship experience which are worthy to have? Yes, that is also a problem which students from SSM normally face. I also faced this problem. I did my internship from BSNL. Uh, that I'm sure, I think they would be still doing it, although I'm not very sure about it. But for internship, now I have realized that you should start preparing for internship opportunities, maybe from the fourth semester itself, because if I'm not wrong, in the fifth semester you are supposed to do your internship. You should think about doing internship opportunities from fourth semester. A lot of my friends, they came to Delhi. So for example, like I told you, we already have a lot of alumni in these companies in Delhi, in Bombay. They can get in touch with them, and they can put you for internship. We don't normally have paid internships, so you'll have to bear the cost of travel and lodging. In Kashmir, if you want to do it, there is some of my batchmates, they used to do it from the Trumboo cements, or you know, other small factories, and it was not like them. They just used to go and meet the the administrator there, and he was happy to take them on. It's anyways, it is just like 4 weeks of internship. So don't feel afraid to to meet those people there. They will be happy to place you there. There is Era also. They have a very able administrator right now there, and they have. There was this organization called Mercy Corps also. I don't think they're. I'm not very sure if they are working right now there, but they had a lot of startup internships. They used to have a startup program, and you can approach these kind of agencies also. They know small business people who can help you with internships. Job opportunities for ECE electrical in government sector. How should you prepare? So if you have missed the presentation, then I will be happy to share the presentation, and maybe you can go through it to get an idea. I have spoken about opportunities in government sector in detail. I start my own software company. Please suggest me the path I choose is wrong or right. So I just, in my batch, I know of only one person who started his own software company, and he is doing pretty well. Unfortunately, because of the internet issues, he was not able to take it to a larger extent, but it is not a very bad option. If you are doing something in the online business, especially these days, it has a lot of scope and a lot of uh, growth potential. I think I've covered all the questions, and the rest are about opportunities. So if in case it seems some of you might have been able to uh, miss the presentation, I will be happy to share the presentation. You can go through it, and you can keep a tab of all those opportunities, of all those jobs that I have spoken of, and you can keep applying. I'm sure you will get it. It's not very difficult to get a job. Motivated during such exams? Yes, motivation is a must. You need to keep yourself motivated. Sometimes I used to, almost be at the verge of crying because you're alone, preparing alone, and everybody thinks that you will qualify, but you're not very sure yourself, uh, because that is the nature of such exams. For motivation, there are two things I would suggest to you. One, you should do some kind of physical exercise in the morning. It helps you take out that negative energy. I used to do a 10, 15, 20 minutes run every morning. And for motivation, definitely just stay away from negative people and stay, be with like-minded people who can match your mental scale. That they help. When you see similar like-minded people approaching problems, solving them like yourself, it helps you to stay motivated. Right. I don't think we have any more questions, so I think Shahida ma'am, we can maybe close the session.
I request Shahida ma'am to please say a vote of thanks to Mr. Naveed Trumboo.
Once again, it's my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. I, on behalf of my college and the entire fraternity of the institution, first of all, extend my most sincere thanks to Allah for providing this opportunity to us to listen and interact with our guest speaker. On my own behalf, I extend a very hearty vote of thanks to the guest speaker who spared time from his busiest schedule to grace the occasion and sharing us his experiences and opinions today. Gratitude is also to all my colleagues and students for patiently listening and then decently interacting throughout the session. Last but not the least, thanks is also to all those persons who directly or indirectly put in their efforts for making today's program a success. Thanks once again to all. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was so nice interacting with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.